Hello, this is Fabio from Ragic, who will be hosting the webinar today. And first of all, welcome everybody, no matter where you are or what time it is right now. Welcome to this webinar. And in this webinar, this is basically talking about how to build relationships in your Ragic database. As most of you should already know, Ragic is a database software that you can basically build your own database without using any codes and build it really easily, like creating an Excel sheet, but of course with more powerful functions. And regarding the functions, one of the main aspects of Ragic is to build relationships between your data, between your sheets, between your records. And today, we're basically going to talk about the different types of relationships in Ragic, how to use them, and how to build them. And as for now, let's just wait a few more minutes to allow more users to join. And in the meantime, if you have any questions you would like to ask beforehand, feel free to do so. Alright, I guess it's a good time to start now, as it is about 3 minutes past our original scheduled time. So basically, in this webinar, you're going to know about the linking relationships and basically different types of relationships, including some of your process of work to design them. And so first of all, to start, I'm going to show you the most basic linking relationship, which is called link and load. And by doing that, I'm going to create a new Ragic sheet. And of course, you can always click on the plus button to create a new tab or sheet. And this one, I'm going to call this sheet sales order. So if you don't already know, basically when you create a new sheet, you'll be going into this completely blank page that has some cells just like what you see on spreadsheet softwares. But in Ragic, we have a field header and a field value, which means you have basically two cells, but it's actually one field, with one of them being the name of it, and the place where you fill in the value. So let me create some fields first. In the first of all, in the sales order, I would say the first thing you'll need is probably called a sales order number, or it's basically like a number that specifies which order it is. So I'm just gonna say sales order number. And another one's probably like a date of order. So if you have already created two fields, you can save this first. And one thing I would like to change is probably change the sales order number into another different field type rather than a free text field. And since I want it to be auto-generated, I don't want to like try and remember what the sequence of it, so I can just change it to an auto-generate. I can change the formatting. I probably just want to make it I want to change the formatting to, let's say, SO, and then dash, and it goes with the number. Save it first. And then the next part, which is where I'm going into, is called the link and load part. Basically, link and load is to obtain data from other sheets, and then you select a specific record and then populate all the other related data. And before this webinar, I've created two other sheets, which is called the employees sheet and the products sheet. And I'm going to link and load it from there. So go to form tools, click on link and load. And then first of all, you have to select the sheet that you're trying to link and load from, the link source. The first one we'll call the employee sheet. Now I have 5 of blue fields, which can be the link source. The link source is basically where the field value where you select records. So I'm gonna go with the name of it, the name of the employee, the salesperson. I'm gonna go, and that's the link value, and I'll load some other values such as department, title, level, email. So after I finish the selection, now I can simply just select employee's name, and it will load all his or her other related data. After this setting is set up, now I've just added fields. I've just added new fields by just selecting, and then it automatically populates the design, displays this design with the field names on the sheet in your selected cells. So let's see how link and load works when you're the user of a database, or probably like if you're not the designer, but you're just a normal user. Exit. Now I have to select the name. So basically I can select from any of these records here. These records are the records I've created in the employee sheet, so I can simply select a person call. I'm just going to select Jonas Kyle. Now, with one selection, I have populated all his other related data, and basically on the selected fields that I've just selected. And also, if you see on the top, this sales order number, I didn't do any input with it. It's just automatically generates into SO1. One thing I have to kind of like finalize this part of the order is to probably just select the date. Now, with a date field, basically you can select from a calendar view, or you can simply just type in the date value of it. Now, this is basically the sales order. Of course, the sales order is not finished. I've just inputted an employee's name and the sales order number and the date of order. Now, I'm going to do further customizations to make this more of like a sales order. So for this part, I'm gonna need a title field, which is basically a description field that could do this. A description field is basically a static text field, so you won't have like a field header and a field value part where you enter data. It's basically text that is just stays on there forever. So I'm just gonna say employee who made the order. So I'm just gonna call it employee. And now I'm gonna say another description field. This part I'm gonna call it client. And now I'm gonna add some just normal fields. to record the client's data, such as the client name, ad, name, phone, ad, address, preferred method. Save this first. If, for example, a preferred payment method, I can change this field type to a selection field and set up my own, I say, preferred selections. Cash, credit card, check. And basically, since you may have other ways of payment methods, I'm also going to allow users to add new options by clicking it right here. And now for the second part of link and load is to link and load products. Now with basically linking and load products, for products, basically since one sales order, most of the time you have a lot of products. So how do you list a lot of products, many products in one sales order? And basically, of course, first of all, you can of course do link and load, but the link and load is a bit different here because link and load this time has to be executed on a subtable. So I'm going to show you what's a subtable here. It is right here. So link and load from the product sheet. I'm going to like this: product name, price, and installation lead. I just want these three fields in the subtable. Now, as you can see from here, the subtable is arranged horizontally, where you can basically list out many different subtable records vertically. So the field headers are basically displayed horizontally, where you can enter the values vertically. Exit here. Now this is basically what a subtable looks like right here. And for this, I've also executed link and load with this. So other than using the link and load, I can keep on basically extending this subtable by adding the fields without the link and load. So one thing with the product name is quantity and let's say total price. I'm going to change this basically the field types a little bit. Well, this can be a numeric field, and it can also be a money field since it's a price value. And basically I'm just going to change the formatting so it looks more correct with a numeric value. It doesn't have like decimals going forever. And quantity, yeah, numeric value works perfectly, but I want it to be basically in the ones digit, and in the total price, again, setting basically, as I've mentioned, I think a few times before, you can basically set formulas in your subtables or in anywhere in any field you'd like, as long as it's doable. So you can like have one. You can have subtable fields, and then you can calculate two different subtables fields, but that is not where you do your final calculation in the subtable. So if you have two subtables, if I have another subtable here, you cannot calculate from this subtable and into another subtable in below. So I'm just going to do the formula right here. Let's say this should be B13 times D13. So always remember that when you use formulas, first of all, you don't have to start with an equal sign, not like what you do in Excel. Other than that, you always refer to your field headers. And then grand total. Again, grand total formula. if you want to calculate a total of subtable fields, you basically refer to a field header. So for a grand total, I just need to refer to E13. And I'm just going to quickly change this field type real quick. Money field. And now basically a sales order with link and load implemented is a general one is almost completed. If you want to do more extensions on what fields you would like to do, more formulas, you can do a lot more different customizations and regarding your needs. So if you have any questions on if you have different conditions, more complicated conditions on how you want to go with your formulas, how you want to input your data, or even more customizations with your link and load, feel free to send us an email or send us a support ticket. And right now, I would like to answer the question of Mr. Jose Torrebueno. Why were only certain fields in an employee sheet closable as the link field? If you're referring to why are only certain fields selectable as the link field, is because for link and load, since the system has to determine which record that you're trying to select to, so the linked field, basically I think the best way to show you is to go to the normal mode. So let's say we could go to product name here. So for this link and load, basically I've linked the product name because all these values are unique. So the names of them are unique. So I can the system can automatically know if why I've selected this. So it can automatically know which data I've selected and populate all the related data. So if your other fields are marked in gray or unselectable, that means it is not doesn't have unique value. So let's say, I'm just going to say product name for example. If this one's marked in gray, then I probably have, for example, two scanner values, and they don't have, their values are not all unique, which means I can't select it from there. And there are also some field types that you are also unselectable because they cannot be considered as unique. Yes, Mr. Kelvin Reyes have just answered my question. Thank you very much. So let me just do a small mock of the sales order. Preferred payment method, cash. All right, and of course, I'm not just going to tell you on how to build like these basic sheets. Not only this today, there's a lot more functions I would like to talk about. So one of the first other relationships other than link and load in sheet relations, the next one is called multiple versions. Now, but what are multiple versions? Basically, it's a duplicated sheet that shares the same data pool. So if I said I want to create a multiple versions using the same data source on a new sheet, and I duplicate this, sales order copy 1. And now I've just created another sales order. And as you can see, this is basically I have this the same sheet since I haven't changed the design of this. But as you know, basically they share the same data pool, and if I updated a value here, for example, if I add another product name, surveillance cameras, what I've just entered here will also be populated on the same record in the other multiple versions sheet. And of course, they don't have to be look-alike. I can just simply rearrange the fields anywhere I'd like. Move the subtables. I'll move this subtable to, let's say, C11. I'll move this grand total here. Or changing the designs, changing the styles, and let's say I want to change a theme to a different color. And one of the most key aspects of using multiple versions is to go set your access rights. So if you have, for example, if you have different user groups that should view a record differently, such as viewing different fields, basically using multiple versions, basically you'll have two sheets or 3 sheets or as many sheets that shares the same data pool, and then you can modify all the different access rights for each multiple versions sheet. This completely controls the access right of one sheet in regarding which fields or which types of design you can see. So a quick question from Mr. Jose Torrebueno. Can you use a subtable to add a record to add a record to the linked table? Are you referring that if in this, like for the subtable, like for you want to add a new record to the linked source from using link and load in the subtable? If you are referring to this, let me show you one real quick. So I'd say if I want to add a new record in the linked source, now clicking on here. Now this is where you select your other records with link and load. By clicking on this plus new button, automatically goes to your product, the new product sheet, which is my link source, and you can automatically enter the values of your new products. So I'm just gonna a new product name. Let's say lighting. Just warranty 3 years. And after I've saved this, it automatically, since you have added a new record, basically a new record about it basically automatically selects this record for you. And this record, this, for example, this lighting is also saved in your link source sheet. All right, let's go back to the design mode to talk more about multiple versions. And so, as I mentioned, this is where you set your access rights for each of the different users. And you can basically you can, for if you want to have different users see different fields, 2 ways. You can have these selected fields hidden. For example, I want to have this email field hidden, this level field hidden. Or you can simply just delete the fields. It doesn't really matter. So if I have deleted these fields, the sheet will still basically work, since basically it just doesn't display those fields. And after you have deleted those fields and you would like to add those fields back from your original sales order sheet, just to tell you first that in the sales order sheet, these fields are still there, even if you delete it or changed it in any way. Now to add them back, go to Form Tools, click on this. Whoops, not this. Basically click on the sheet of the multiple versions, and you can just drag it down. Just drag it down, and then yes, your fields are back. Yes. Just add them there and click on save. And this is basically using how to use multiple versions in a lot of different ways. Now, this function is really key for, I'd say it's most important for you to set up different access rights and different displays for different users. And the next relationship I would like to talk about is to create a new sheet from Subtable. Now, creating a new sheet from Subtable is basically creating this part. This is the Subtable, and have these Subtable records and the data populated on a new sheet, but with these fields as the independent fields. So click this, a new sheet from Subtable. Create a new sheet from Subtable. The new sheet will link back to this form by selecting, of course, this, because it has to determine which original sales order field this is supposed to, the sales order record this is supposed to be. So this one has also be a, basically also has to be a unique value. So create a new sheet from this Subtable. Click create new sheet. And as you can see, this is in the listing page. Let's go to the form page. Now your products are displayed in basically in a normal field format, and there's more further design changes can be made. So for example, since there's a kind of like a parent-child relationship between this new sheet from Subtable and its original sales order copy sheet, you can have the fields like independent fields obtained from your sales order sheet. So click on this, and a lot of those fields, if these fields are not in your product on this product name sheet yet, we can bring it down. Sales. Oh, actually, we already have the sales order numbers. I'm gonna bring it down. And do have two name fields: preferred payment method, date of order, grand total. Save this here and exit. So one thing about this is that this sheet is also tightly connected with the sales order sheet. So for example, if you have updated a value from here, for example, I want to change the product. I'm just going to change the product for the sales order. So this one, printer ink, I'm going to change this quantity to 200. So this will 200. So this, I've changed this quantity. So this should also be populated in the Subtable. So now it has been populated in the Subtable, and the formula has also been recalculated. One thing I should do beforehand is in this product names, the sheet I've just entered data, which is also the sheet from the Subtable. It is better for you to also set the same formulas if you have related formulas on the same sheet, so it will automatically populate the correct values on that sheet. But when I go back to this sheet, since there's a formula already set here, and basically the formula has been recalculated, re-executed, and still has the correct value. Now if I go back to that sheet, yes. Now the formula has been recalculated as soon as I've just went to the original sheets. And then basically I always say like the opposite of creating a new sheet from Subtable is basically by creating a reference subtables. Why do I say that? Is because basically when I create a new sheet from a Subtable is getting Subtable records populating on a newly designed fields and like individual fields on a new sheet. But creating a reference Subtable is to have individual fields populated on a Subtable. So it's more like a vice versa relationship. All right, so for this case, I'm going to go to the product sheet, and I'm going to So since I'll be able to create, I should be able to create a new, like a reference subtable with the product name. Why? Because in the product name sheet, or basically like the subtable, the linked fields is linked with the product name. Is linked to this sheet, which means now the subtable, the reference subtable will be the reference subtable will be able to kind of like show which other records have been linked with this sheet. And now I'm just gonna select all the fields for this, insert subtable. Now this is the reference subtable. And let's say for the lighting, now it has shown all the sales order numbers that have selected this this product. And of course, you can continue to apply more functions with this. For example, you can even change the field name. So sales order number, probably maybe this field is too big. I want to rearrange this a bit. Installation needed. I probably don't want these fields. I can continue to delete them. And of course you can continue to apply more, such as applying more formulas and apply more designs, or even if you would like to, and then after you have applied formulas, and then you can continue to export reports regarding the performance of a specific product. So for this case, basically, since I've just shown one product's, like the number of orders that have ordered this product, so you can basically see like the performance of your specific products. And of course this can also be applied to your employees, or basically your sales, to see how they have performed in their sales, and see how I've interacted with their orders. So these are the basic, more towards the linking side of creating relationships. But other than that, another way which is kind of also creating relationships is to kind of like build different workflows. So I'm going to go back to the original sales order. Change design. Now one thing I would like to do is to kind of like convert, probably for example, if I want to go from a sales order to probably more towards like the shipping order or shipping note. Now I can automatically have these data thrown onto a shipping note. So one thing, I'm going to do this in a faster way. So I'm going to create a new multiple versions, but I'm not going to use the same data source on a new sheet. Now what that does is basically create a new sheet, identical, but they won't share the same data pool, and they'll be just completely blank without any data on it. Duplicate sheet. I'm going to call this notes. Whoops. Why pop up blocked? Now I've automatically created a new sheet. I'm just going to change it. I'm just going to quickly change the design real quick, adding a new field called shipping number. Also another auto generate field. And delete this, or the one I've just originally created, not this, that was blocked by the pop-up. So from the sales order, since I want to have these values automatically populated automatically populated on the shipping note sheet, but they have to be done manually, but in a faster way. One tool that is very convenient to do this is called convert records. So by converting records, I can basically throw selected fields. Onto the different sheets I would like to do. Basically, I would like to convert it to. So shipping note. Now I'm gonna you can basically select which field, the field value from the field on this sheet, and fill in the other field value on the other sheet. And since for your case, if you have a lot of fields with the same names, I can basically auto map those fields, and the system will automatically see which fields they should make the button converted to. So since a lot of the field names are the same, well, almost all of them except the one that I've just created for the shipping, basically like the shipping number field. So they're matched correctly. So sales order will fill in the sales order number in the shipping note sheet, date of order to the date of order, and so on. And before creating the convert record button, yes, this will be an action button to do so. I can go to I can select advanced settings. For example, there's a lot of check if the convert is to not empty when executed, and also open converted records. You can select to do so. Recalculate all formulas, and a lot of different advanced settings to do so. And then you can create at the bottom of this whole window. You can click on this to create the convert record button. Okay. Convert to ship. So you'll see an action button right here. So this should be an action button on forms. So basically you'll see an action button to say convert to shipping right here. You can click on this, and then there's also more settings you can do more settings with this specific action button. So such as confirm before execution. Basically shows there's like a place for you to confirm, and only executable when approved. Now, if you have an approval flow, which can be set down here, you can make this action only executable after the whole approval flow of this record has been finished. And hide this action button. Now, you'll only need to hide this action button if you have created to combine different buttons together, and I'll show you that in a while when I create a new action button. And also have this available for users who can edit this entry, and also have this action and make this available for selected user groups. Save changes in this button and save this sheet. And then let's see. So let's see what happens when I convert this to a shipping order. So this is completed. Convert. Now, basically all the values have been basically converted onto this sheet. I call this is done automatically, but manually. Automatically because you don't have to copy and paste, the system does it for you, but manually because you still have to click an action button. So unlike multiple versions where your values are populated directly, automatically, without almost no manual actions. This one, there's basically a step before this. And then, so now I've converted here, and this is done automatically. Now, another type of relationship, kind of like it's similar to converting records, but it's a little bit different. It's called updating values on another sheet. And let me go back to the sales order. So for example, I want to change the client's information. So for example, if the client probably they'll like to be referred to a different name, they would like to be contacted with a different phone number or different address, and I want to have the how do you say? Basically, I want to have them updated, but I don't want to update it into 2 different sheets. This time I can always select to update values on another sheet. So from this sheet, or this sheet is the sales order, up to update it to the shipping note. So I want to have the values updated. I want to have like the client's phone and address updated. So where is phone? Phone updated to equal to this other field called phone, and add more address. And preferred payment method. And what's different with converting records is that since you're updating, it's basically updating to a selected value on another sheet. So you must have a value on this sheet that matches a value of a field on this sheet that matches a value on a field in another sheet. So I'm just gonna, for this case, of course, the best way is also to use unique values, sales order number to sales order number. Again, there's also advanced settings. Of course, I'd say recalculate, automatically run saving. Well, depending on how you like your workflows to be, I always suggest to look at all the advanced settings before finalizing your action buttons. So for this case, I would like to automatically recalculate formulas in sheet shipping note. So basically, if I selected to update value on another sheet, from here I want on the shipping note, the shipping sheet, to have basically recalculate. Whoops. I'm just gonna have the client data. Again, there's also an action button here, and there's also you can change the name, and also basically a lot of different advanced settings for this action button. Click on save. Now quickly, I'm just going to talk about combining buttons, since now I have 2 buttons. Basically, you can, by clicking on combine buttons, for example, if you have 2 or more buttons that you would like to execute at the same time and even hide it in the future, just select the buttons that you want to combine, and then combine the selected buttons. I'm just gonna call this combine action for now. Now, by doing that, for this case, you'll have a 3rd action button. Since I haven't hit any buttons yet, but by clicking on this combine action button, basically it will execute all the other 2 actions at the same time. So just thinking about just like pressing buttons, like real buttons, not like on the computers. Basically clicking 2 buttons at the same time with this combine action button. And basically for this, now since I have 2 action buttons combined, now I can select, if I don't want to have my users to be able to access a button separately, I can select to hide the action buttons if I need it. But for this case, since converting to shipping and update client data is, I would say you won't really execute it at the same time. So I'm not going to execute it like right now. So for example, if I change the phone number of this sales order, change this credit card and address, one cam road 1 2 3 4 5. Save. And I want to update client data, and so the update is complete. Now let's go to this data. So this is then done manually, and then these values have been basically updated after I've clicked on those action buttons. And then let me just answer a question real quick. Mr. Kelvin Reyes has asked, is there a limit in creating multiple versions? As far as I know, there isn't, but basically you can create as many different multiple versions as you want. And then again, just go back to talking about access rights. Going back to access rights, basically I would always suggest, if you have a different form of access rights and want to have your sheets displayed in different formats, basically one condition needs one multiple version. That's for most cases. And the next question that you have asked is it possible to run action buttons automatically after saving the entry? Now, yes. As I've just mentioned, let me go back to the product. Actually, it should be the sales order. So, for example, if you want to update values on another sheet, let's go back. Let's go to this action button again. These are all in the advanced settings. So, in the advanced settings, there's one action button say automatically run when saving. Now, by selecting this, you have to make sure that this matching field, for example, for this case, it's the sales order number field. You have a value on this sheet that matches the selected match field on the other sheet, or else there will be like some pop-up saying that this action cannot be executed because it does not have like the value that you have selected to match. So yes, of course it is possible, but you just have to make sure that your settings and your field values are doable. I'm gonna save this for now, and I want to go back to the link and load part again to talk more extensive on link and load. So still remember these link and load. You still remember these link and load relationships. Now you may be wondering, like, what are these gear buttons for? Now, just for your information, these gear buttons are basically for more additional settings for link and loads, or for multiple versions, and for new sheet from subtables, etc. So if you see a gear button, now you have a lot more. Basically, you have more settings that you can do now. You can also the first thing for link and load is that you can also do dynamic filtering. So basically, by this, it basically filters your selections. So when a field value on this sheet matches the other value on these sheets, it's like only show records under the following rule. So let's say okay, so for example, if I have saying that, let me think of a good example here. So for example, if I have, let's say, I say department's a good part. So if I have selected pre-select this, like if I have designated a department, and for example, a department say marketing, and it matches on the the employee sheet, the marketing department. Now the only link and load selections can be populated if they are in the department I've just selected. So if I as a marketing matches marketing, well, since this should be I would like it to be in another independent field, but not in this Lincoln though. But actually, it still works. All right, let me just create a new record for this. So let's say marketing. Now, since marketing matches a value in the other sheet, now as you can see in this Lincoln load, I only have 3 selections, and they're all filtered out by the marketing department. If I change this to administration, administration. Yes, I only have the administration records to be able to be selected from. Okay. Other than using dynamic filtering, should be this one. I can also have the loaded value sync with source. So for example, if I have updated, for example, if a employee has changed its department, it can be also basically reflected on this sheet automatically, because the loaded values are synced with this. And if you would like to execute it from the design mode, you can also select to sync all the Lincoln loads, like basically resync with a change in the link source. But basically by clicking this, it's just executing your Lincoln load once more without if it's still having the same values, it won't change anything on your sheets. But if there's an update, such as a change in a change in levels, a change in titles, now it will also be synced manually. And also, let's click on this multiple versions part. Now you can, on the secure button for multiple versions, you can create an action button that basically takes to the same record on another version of this form. So if I create a sales order version, submit, save, and then if I click on this button, sales order multiple versions, the one I've just created, I automatically arrive in this multiple versions sheet. Let's go, and it does it by a pop-up, and there's also like a new sheet from Subtable. You can also create a link on this field to go to a new sheet. I'm probably gonna go. So if I select it to have the price field, now the price field become a link. And if I click on this link, it'll be going into the new sheet that I've just created from the Subtable. And if basically create, of course, since I do not have a lot of fields on the Subtable, which if I could add more, and I couldn't click on the product name, which is supposed to be probably like I would say probably like the best field value to click and then go to the new sheet from Subtable, but I couldn't do so because the product names are linked. So if it's a better selection, I probably need to have probably a new product ID under sales order ID and make them unique for this creation. And that's basically the I'd say most of how you create relationships in your Ragic sheets today. And of course, you can go as extensive as possible, such as going from different multiple versions, setting different actions on multiple versions, and a lot more. You can be a little bit creative with them and customize it for your organization, for a company, for a team, and also for yourself. Now, since basically designing a Ragic sheet is much easier compared to designing any database from scratch. And whenever you find any troubles managing your data, you would like to change your workflow, as a sysadmin, if you're the sysadmin of the database or basically the owner of the database, you can always change design anytime. Just change the design, change your workflow, change how the way you link and load, change how your values, your fields should be displayed, and just you can do it whenever, wherever you have a computer. And one thing great about Ragic is that you don't have to you don't really have to install anything onto your computer, since as you can see, I'm on a computer browser and I didn't even need to download. I don't even need to download any extensions to have them work. So yes, it's a very convenient, and as long as you get all the relationships, get all the workflows correct, and basically have all your field settings set correctly, and your database is really close to be completely functional for basically for your organization and for your company. And that's it for today, talking about the relationships between different types of different types of relationships in Ragic. And I'll be here for a little while if you guys have any questions you would like to ask regarding anything in Ragic in general. It doesn't have to be the different relationships that I have just performed in Ragic. Just anything related to Ragic in general, feel free to ask right now, and I'll see if I could build an example real quick. And also, if your question is more extensive, or you would like us to give you some more extensive suggestions, I would also suggest going into click on the need help button on the top right corner here, and by clicking on this, you can submit a support ticket, which will automatically send us an email and grant us access to your account, and then we'll try to solve the issue for you, no matter if it is basically a design suggestion, or if you have reported a bug, since it will be easier for us if we could access your account. And if you're worried about the access rights or confidential issues, basically, well, first of all, we won't change the design or modify your database anyway. We just need to see we just need a visualization of what's happening. And after this has been finished, basically after we have solved this issue, you can always change our access rights anytime. Right. I guess since there are no questions being asked right now, I guess this is a great time to finish this webinar. And well, feel free to contact us anytime when you reach to any issues, find any problems, or discover any bugs that basically affects your database. And we'll be always be very happy to help you. And that's it for today. Thank everybody for participating in this Ragic webinar, and we'll see you next time.